With the F1 season starting next week, it's time to math the map for my F1 season-long crocheted blanket. So I'm gonna do this out loud with you guys. In this video, we're just gonna be figuring out like the math for the blanket, how long it might be, how wide it might be. So I have a kind of an idea of what I'm getting myself into with this. So there are 24 races this season. And I'm gonna do 4 rows for each race because I'm doing the podiums, and then I'm also, so a row for each person on the podium, and then I'm also doing driver of the day, because generally driver of the day is a non-podium racer. It's someone who just like had a good race or like did something cool during the race. So I feel like that's gonna mix up my stitch as well. So that is gonna be 96 rows. I reserve the right to add in sprints if I want to. I don't want to have like create a problem where I'm having to like crochet 8 rows all the time, and that's not bringing me any joy. Though I might add the sprints in, we'll see. So in conclusion, we're gonna call it 96 rows. Looking at this other stitch sampler project, I am averaging out every row to be about 1/2 inch because there's gonna be some rows of single crochet and some rows of taller crochets like doubles and the peacock stitch and things like that. So just averaging without borders, that would be 48 inches long that this blanket would be. And that's without like any borders or anything like that, which I haven't decided if or what borders I will do. Borders are sometimes nice on a stitch sampler to figure out afterwards, so you can kind of like balance things out, balance out the stitches, balance out the colors, and also like clean up those edges, because sometimes stitch sampler projects get a little funky on the edges just because you are mixing so many different stitches together. I'm going to be using the same hook size that I used for this cardigan to make this blanket. That's a 5.0 millimeter. And so I know that 5 stitches is about 1 inch across. I like to do my stitch sampler blankets in multiples of 5. One, it gives me a really good number to like track back every single time. Like it's a very round, easy to remember number. I also find that many stitches, if they don't immediately go into 5, then you can kind of fudge them into counts of 5 pretty easily. So I like to do 5. So it'll be around 240 chains to get 48 inches across by just these really rough calculations. I'm gonna call that 250, just up it a little bit. And this way it's another really easy number to remember. So I know that I'm gonna chain 251 to have 250 working stitches. Again, these are all really rough guesses just so I can get a general idea of what I need to do. And this is where like potentially adding in sprints will add more length if I need it, which is probably the main thing that I'm worried about, is making it too wide and not long enough. I also don't want to make it so big that it's like ridiculously big and uses tons of yarn. For one thing, I'm using big twist yarn, which very soon will be hard to source. And then I've also already made like a giant stitch sampler blanket that's on my bed. It's literally like a king-sized stitch sampler blanket. So yeah, I don't need another one of those. I want like a smaller couch or lap-sized blanket. My next task is to figure out which stitch represents each driver best and which one I want to use for each driver. Some of the more popular drivers, I'll probably use simpler stitches just because it would stink to have to do like the alligator stitch over and over and over again for every row. That like would not be the vibe of a good stitch sampler project for me. So I'm gonna figure that out next, and I will see you guys for that video.